Hey YouTube, it's Kier. I'm babysitting tonight, so if you hear any baby snores or baby noises, it's because I have a little man asleep right over here. I wanted to make a video response to Brenda Crozier, Ember HoneyRaven, and TheLadygravedancer concerning Newbie witches. I'll put their video links in the description bar below because they did an excellent job. I think between the three of them, they pretty much covered absolutely everything you could cover on this topic. So I don't know why I'm chiming in, I guess, just to have, did you see my hair there? Wow, I don't know what the hell it was doing. Yeah, my hair is a fucking hot mess tonight. I don't even, it is 3:18 in the morning, and I have already tried to make this video 3 times, and my brain is being a dick, so I just excuse me. Anyway, first of all, if you are new to the craft, I want to thank you, because you are the insurance policy that the craft will go on for another generation. And I respect and appreciate the fact that there wasn't always that type of insurance policy throughout history. There have been many, many times when witchcraft as a whole, regardless of how it was practiced individually, could have disappeared. It could have ceased to exist. So, I very much appreciate you coming into this, especially knowing that we really are one of the more persecuted groups of people on the planet. That can be scary, and that can be really, really intimidating at times, depending on who you're exposed to and the type of feedback that you're getting from people close to you. The good news is, everyone who's been in the craft for a while has been through that. And if you find people out there on YouTube or on Facebook or through, do they still have chat rooms? Is that still a thing? If so, on there, that resonate with you, that have been in the craft for any period of time, they can probably be your shoulder to lean on when hatred gets to you. Because, you know, it gets to people who have been in the craft for a while, but it can especially get to you when you're new. So, you know, if you just need some help through that or what have you, there are some really good people on YouTube and Facebook and chat rooms, if those still exist, I don't even know, that can help you through that. As far as what you need to practice magic, in my opinion, the only thing you truly need is will or intent. Same thing to me, I consider them the same thing. You can sit underneath a tree and you can focus your will however you best do that. I do it best by visualizing, but I know that not everybody does. But you can focus your will and your intent however you best do that toward your goal and what you want to accomplish, and you will make magic happen that way if your intent is strong enough and you want it bad enough. Magic is not something that requires all of these frills and, you know, the candles and the books and all of that. While that stuff can be really great, and I for one probably wouldn't have learned anything had it not been for books at the time period that I was coming up and the fact that I didn't have access to the internet, they're not necessary. Nature can teach you so much. And as somebody who did learn the bulk of what I know through various books, I can tell you that there will always be lessons that only nature and observing can teach you. There have been times that I've learned shit from just watching or from just doing things a certain way for whatever reason, just feeling like that was the way to do it. And I think, if I remember right, TheLadygravedancer talked about this too. You read about it in a book and you're like, wow, I was right, yay. That's kind of the feeling that I get. One example is making holy water. I don't know if everybody uses that, if that's mostly a Wiccan thing, or if it's just some Wiccan, I don't know. But I use it to purify things like my tools and things like that. I don't know if I had just missed it in books that I read or what, but it took me about 4 years after I got into the craft before I found a way to make holy water in a book. And I had been using it that whole time. I just did it kind of on the fly. And then I read Silver Ravenwolf's, I think it was Solitary Witch, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know, there was so much stuff in that book that usually if I can't remember where it came from, it probably came from there. Anyway, I read something in a book and it was identical to the way that I did my holy water. Just, things like that. Things that your intuition will get you everywhere when it comes to, well, life, in my opinion, but also to the craft. When it comes to the sort of people that you should surround yourself with, when it comes to what information you should take to heart from books and what you should kind of just skim over or discard, when it comes to what type of books you will read, when it comes to the groups you may or may not join, all of that stuff should boil down to your intuition. It is so, so important to go with your gut. I have gotten myself into situations, not necessarily even just magically, but especially when it comes to Wicca and witchcraft. I have found myself in situations where at the time I did not understand why, and it could be something as simple as reading a book. I didn't understand why I bought a certain book, and then it was kind of shelved for a few months, and then I picked it up and I just happened to read it at the exact moment in my life when I needed it most. That's just one example. I've met people that at the time I did not understand why I was meeting them, and then come to find out they had some lesson to teach me, whether it was in magic or Wicca or just life in general. Your intuition will get you so far, you just have to trust it. And if your intuition tells you to use rosemary for, say, a love spell, and somebody tells you, no, you can't do that, go with your gut, because we all have our own individual energies, our own vibration, if you want to call it that. I don't want to sound too fucking hokey and new agey, but I don't know how else to describe it. Our own energy, the spirit, the being that makes us us. And how we interact with the world in general as human beings is all based on perception. So my thought is that is probably also true with how we interact with things like herbs when it comes to things like magic. If rosemary is love to you, if that works for you in a love spell, it doesn't matter that it doesn't work for Joe Blow down the street. It works for you. So use it, Like for me personally, I've always had this thing where if something is strong, like, what is the damn word I'm looking for? Like garlic, where it's aromatic, but it's kind of in your face, sort of strong. If something smells like that, then I will usually use it for protection. If something is sweeter, like vanilla, then to me that is associated with love. I'm trying to think of other examples. I'm blanking out. I'm sorry. But just things like that. That's how I work it. That doesn't mean that that's how it's going to work for you. That's just how I do it, because that's what my intuition has always told me to do. So your intuition and your intent are your two best friends. If you want tools, that's great. If you want them and you can afford them, awesome. Get your tools, use them however you please, that sort of thing. But if you're new starting out and you feel like you can't go any further because you don't have tools, you don't have to have them. If a book tells you to use your athame or your wand to cast a circle, all you need to cast a circle is the pointer finger of your dominant hand. I'm right-handed, so for me it's this one. I was always taught to take up a circle in reverse. I know that that's not always the case. I saw Annie from Mirth and Reverence. One of her videos she has always taken up a circle clockwise as well. So however you feel best doing that. I was also taught to use my receptive hand, my left hand in my case, because my dominant hand is my right, to take up the circle. Now, that may not sit right with you. That's not how everyone will do it. That's just how I was taught, and it has always felt right to me, so that's how I continue to do it. Yeah, just go with your gut. Go with or use your will. Utilize your will. Those are the only things you truly need. Everything else is kind of a, preference. It's on a preference by preference basis. If you don't need to set up an altar, then you don't need to set up an altar. If you don't need to pick specific deities, or they haven't spoken to you yet who is supposed to be your matron and your patron, then it's not time for you to do that, and it's perfectly acceptable to work with the god and goddess energy as the mother-father figures, or to work with just male energy or just female energy. Whatever feels right to you is what you have to go with, because at the end of the day, we are all individuals as much as we are, all one, and I'm all for that. Our energy, our soul, what makes us us, it's all individual. And what resonates with me and what works for me may not work for you. We all have natural affinities, and I think I'm going to do a video about that next, but I'm not sure because it's going to involve kind of a big confession. Big for me, may not be big for you guys to hear, but big for me. But anyway, we all have natural affinities, I believe, and things that speak to us louder than they may speak to your mother, your father, your, what have you. You just have to go with whatever is right for you. So that's my opinion on what to do when you're just starting out. And please remember, if you are new to the craft and you need somebody to talk to, I'm not a teacher. I'm still learning. I think that we're all still learning. That's something else I wanted to cover. Sorry, I've already gone on for 11 fucking minutes, but I wanted to get this out there. For me personally, and I think I've said this before, people who claim that there is only one way in the craft and that their way is that only way, to me, in my opinion, those are witches who have not yet shed the dogma of their past religions. They have not yet realized that we're not about that here in the craft. We are not about one true way, and this is the one true way, and it just happens to be their way. By the way, just putting that out there. Anyone who comes to you pretending like they have all of the answers and they know the only way to do something, in my personal experience, those are the people that are major red flags for me, and I will not have anything to do with them. Because I don't know any witch that's done learning. I don't know how you could be done learning with the craft. There is so much to cover, so many different subjects, that it would take lifetimes to be done learning. Just like in life you're never finished learning. There is always something new you can learn. The craft is no different. So if somebody is acting like they are, finished, I don't know what they're doing, but in my opinion, they're not. Yeah. And just beware of people like that, because there are some people who use the craft as their own power trip, and they like to use the fact that they've been doing it for X, Y, Z amount of years to play a power trip over people to make themselves feel superior. And if you find yourself in contact with people like that and they're putting you down and they're, trying to tell you what's what, those may not be the best people to listen to. So I just wanted to finish with that, and now I've gone on for 13 minutes with stuff that I probably could have covered in 8, but I blabber on. Anyway, that's just me adding my 2 cents into the topic of discussion. If you're new, or even if you're, you've been in it a while and you just want to send a message, I'm always here. I respond to everything. I assume that the messages work the way that the comments do, where they show up on my little Google Bell thingy-majigger. But if you ever send me a message and I don't write back within 24 hours, then leave a comment, because I see all of my comments. And I hope that you all have a beautiful week, and I hope that you all remember to smile.